This video is going to show you how to set the general options on the option tabs in your rubric. So you first want to click to the rubrics tab on the far left, then select the rubric you want, select the options tab, and then select general options. First you have the school year. You can set whatever dates you want for that. Typically everyone leaves this the way it is as a default, July to June. The second option, show observation summary form for informal observations. What that is determining whether you want this observation summary section on your informal observations. If you don't want that, then you can remove that. It's going to give you the rubric with all the data mapped on it. The other option is your teacher signature disclaimer statement. So that is going to show up on your observation summary. If you go in on your signatures tab, it's this statement under the teacher signature. If you want to modify that, that is the place where you would modify it. Now as we scroll down, you have several options here depending on how you want to assign your ratings and use rules to generate your overall ratings. So you can either rate on domains or you can rate on components. If you want to rate on components, then you will select the default, which is rate on components, and then you would go down here and click manage component rules in order to add your rules in that are going to determine your final rating based on your components. This many of this, this many of that gives you this, and so forth. If you want to, and you'll notice in this box you can't select the other domain option. If you want to rate on domains as well, you can turn that on, and then you still will be able to select which one of these you would like to set your rules for. So you could set them based on components, or you can set them based on domains. So if you do based on domains, then you need to manage your individual domain rule and then your overall rules. So you have to determine based on how you have it set up what you'd want to do there. And then the other option would be rate on domains. In that case, you're not going to set any rules because you're already assigning the domain rating. So that's all dependent on how you have it set up at your district for calculating the results. The final area in the general options is the enable the teacher self-rating. So if you turn that off, then none of those other options will be available. So you click there. If you want to turn that on for the self-rating, this will allow the teacher to self-rate on the rubric. So they would be able to select rating levels for each part of the rubric. This second part here, the enable teacher evidence, what that does is allow teachers to input text evidence on the rubric when they're in the self-rating area. They can access this via their dashboard. The teacher evidence label, that would be what the teacher evidence area where they're entering the text, that would be what that's called, and it would show up on your observation summary as well if you're including that. So those are the general options for the options tab when you're setting up your rubric in Evaluise.